and then bringing someone to the podcast that has gone from E1 all the way up to a doctor, and being a minority, multiple home owner for the children. It is an honor for you to be here with us. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Glenn checking in with the SITREP podcast, where we talk about life hacks, investing, real estate, and more. Let's get to the bag, baby. Let's go. What's up, Bruno? I got my man Bruno over here, United States Marine Corps gunnery sergeant and real estate professional. And Ernesto, let me tell you about this guy. He is awesome. Navy, Army, doctor, investor, much more. Hey, cheers to your service.
Cheers, 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 good people.
Tasty beverages. This is actually this is applesauce, apple juice, applesauce, apple juice. Hey, cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. Well, hey, I want to get to it, man. It's so much to unpack about, you buying your property, man. First and foremost, thank you for your service.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, and then you got to let us know what type of cocoa butter you're using, because you told me that you were almost 50 years old. You got to let me know, man. I'm trying to look
clean living.
Clean living. That's good. That's good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I got cycling too.
Oh, cycle. You cycle?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So health is important. Physical health is very important.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where are you from?
So I grew up in Oregon. So I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but grew up in Portland, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting upbringing, because back in the day when I grew up there, it was I wouldn't say it's racist. It was just raceless. It was like there wasn't any Latinos in Portland, and so I kind of didn't grow up, seeing anybody else that looked like me, and it's weird today to see like people on TV that like, wow, there's people that look like me. Like, that wasn't a thing before.
Oh, trust me, I know a little bit. I might know about that. That's really cool, man. So what made you join the armed services?
So for me, like a lot of kids going in, enlisting anyway, I was a poor kid, there weren't a lot of options for me. So, fortunately, I had some good mentors that were like, hey, you're too immature to go to college. And I knew that about myself. I was too immature to go to college, go to the military, and I think that was probably the best decision I ever made, because, they raised me, what my parents couldn't do because they, had their own struggles. The military was definitely able. I tell people all the time, the military raises kids,
That's really crazy, man. Why did you pick? So you were in the Navy first, correct?
No, I was actually in the Army.
First.
So I enlisted Army, and actually that's where I met my wife. We met as E4s. Yeah, we were both E4s together. And she had a friend from Panama. That was in the Army with her. That we deployed to the first Persian Gulf, right? To the Persian Gulf with her. Back in '90.
Okay.
And she was in my squad, and so she was like, hey, there's this new guy in our unit, and then she introduced me to her, and the rest is history. We've been together for 28 years.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, so let me unpack this, man. I'm just thinking about it. You joined the Army. Mm-hmm. Okay, what year was that?
That was in 90.
1990, you joined the Army. Mm-hmm. Okay, you transitioned to the Navy, correct?
So I'm in the Army. I'm working at a side job as a lifeguard, and I meet these guys that are deep sea divers, right?
Okay.
Army deep sea divers, right? Not Navy. And so I'm like, what the heck? And so they tell me about their deal. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a National Guard unit to go to.
Okay.
I'll take a PT test right now if you guys send me to dive school. They, were like, yeah, whatever, I go in, I run back to my barracks room, I grab my PT gear, and I crush the PT test. And they're like, oh, man, maybe this guy can make it.
Okay.
So they send me on to dive school, to pre-screen. Army does a pre-screen for for Navy dive school. So because if the Army guy fails, the Army still has to pay Navy the whole amount for the dive school.
Okay.
So they don't want anybody failing out. So they beat the crap out of them for 2 weeks and make sure that they'll make it through dive school.
So I'm just thinking, okay, so E1 to doctor.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience.
So I'm enlisted. I get out. My wife finally is like, hey, they wanted to send me to Hawaii, and my wife we were in Virginia at the time, and I was like, I can't, really afford to, even, on an E4 or even E5's, pay to live in Hawaii and have her live in Virginia and go to school. So I was like, I'm out, and so she's like, go back to school. If they don't value, what you do, or, want to work with you, then get out. And so then I did my undergraduate in international business. And then afterwards, worked for a major corporation.
Sure.
And then after that, after doing some of my own therapy, decided to become a psychologist.
Okay. So study of the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How long were you out for?
Let's see. So it was probably about 8 years. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had about an 8-year break in service, while I was doing, my undergraduate and then graduate school. And then when I finished my graduate school, I needed a internship for psychology, and the Navy was a natural choice because I'd already gone through Navy dive school. So I knew it was like to kind of be in the Navy because I did that, 6-month school.
Right.
And then I was like, yeah, I'm going Navy. I'm not going back Army.
Okay, gotcha. I totally understand that. Yeah. And let me ask you a question. Where in the heck did you meet Bruno?
So, yeah, that's a strange story too. Yeah. So his wife, it was the assistant for my wife. My wife's an orthodontist by training. So she was orthodontic tech, which is really tough because they're like the best, right? Because they have to be like on it quick. And she is outstanding. His wife is stellar,
She sure is.
So anyway, she picks this guy, and I was like, well, he must be all right. And, if she picked him, he must be all right. So we met him, and so when we decided to buy a house, because we're in Japan, we're like, okay, how are we going to do this? I mean, we can't just be flying back and forth from Japan, and so we thought of them, and, we saw, through social media that he was doing real estate.
Sure.
And I was like, that's it, and so we contacted them, and he did an excellent job at finding us a place.
That's amazing.
We just kind of went back and forth, playing off of each other, and
so you guys were actually in Okinawa during COVID when you bought the property.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So FaceTime, basically.
Yes.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yep. It was insane. They were literally walking around our house with a camera with FaceTime, showing us, okay, this is the bedroom, these are the bathrooms, this is what it looks like, and the good thing is we had that rapport and that trust built up.
Very important, yeah.
So that we knew, like, okay, because, you don't know what you're getting. You don't.
Right.
But if you have trust in the people that you're working with, then, then you can take risks, calculated risks.
Sure.
And I think that's really the important thing with any kind of, whether if you want to call it success or whatever, is taking these calculated risks.
Yep.
Yeah. That it's not too much where you fail, but not too little where you don't get anything,
Okay. And that was something where for this transaction, right, it was so much more than just a regular transaction.
Sure.
Right? Because you figure, man, my wife, right, she has history with his wife.
You can't let him down, man.
Yeah.
So the pressure, you know what I mean? So, because it's at the end of the day, you never want to let any of your clients down, right?
Right.
I mean, it's the, by law, we have the fiduciary duty, yada, 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 right?
Sure.
So you never want to let your clients down. But then when it's like a personal, when you have a prior relationship where it's like, man, the pressure, because you're like, I absolutely have to get the best deal. So it's one of those where you always want to do that, but when it's personal now, the pressure is that much more. So for them, so when I say that we were looking for something and you look for that deal as if you're looking for your own deal, right? Where sometimes I'm like, my deal might be okay for them now. It has to be better than what it is that I would have gotten for myself. But it was a super fun process, even though they were all the way in Okinawa and trying to make sure that transition, because it's not just, finding the house, right? It's okay, well, what more can we do to help facilitate
sweeten the deal,
that transition of them moving from Okinawa, back to the States, so, there were times where I'm like, I'm telling my wife, I'm like, hey, babe, you may need to go down to that, to go to that school so you can go talk to the principal to find out, what the school district is like and how it's going to be. So you can go back and, pass that information over to Sherry, to Ernesto, so that they know. So it was fun. It was a really fun process.
Yeah, it was. And the house that we got it's amazing. There's times that I am just like, I'll be literally just sitting downstairs in my living room in the dark, just like, damn, this house is sick. And it's just like, I'm serious. Like, I'll just sit there and be like, what the heck? What am I doing here?
But it does help to have clients who are able to, adopt and kind of take the things that we preach about, right? So, Tony's always giving classes, right, talking about VA loans and stuff like that. And one of the things that he says to everybody who sits through the class is, purchase through the investor's lens, right? Do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do, right? And the property that we ended up finding, right, it was such a sweet deal, but it was because it needed to have a few things tweaked and a few things that we needed to do, right? It had been sitting in the market a little bit longer than what some of the other houses have sat through. It took me talking to, to the agent to kind of weed a few things out, right? But then it was being able to bring that back to, to say, okay, hey, I know you guys are there, right? This is what I see. This is where I think there's room. Look at the, look at the comps and the comparables. And then his ability to see past it, to say, okay, you know what? No, I definitely see the potential in that property.
The bones
we can do.
So basically what you're saying is looking at the bones and not the makeup of the property, right?
Absolutely.
So the potential, after moving into the property and doing those little upgrades, little things that you can do to make that the highest and best value, the after move-in value of the property after making it your own, right?
Right.
Okay, so I do have a question for you. You've purchased before.
Yes, we have 4 houses.
Okay, 4 houses. Did you use your VA loan on all of them, or?
I think we've used VA loans on every house.
So that's crazy. Did y'all hear that? Okay, so right now I have my brother over here, dual military, right? Your wife,
military,
Sherry's her name, correct?
Yeah, Sherry.
See, I listen. So I better not get this wrong. So you and Sherry own 4 homes. Now, advice for a young service member coming in on their first enlistment. What advice would you give the 19, 20-year-old Ernesto joining the military in regard to financial stability like yourself?
I'd say, the weird thing I did, I think it's kind of weird for, a 19-year-old to do that, is I was reading like Money Magazine, all that kind of stuff. They'd have it laying around. You're waiting at, for some appointment, whether the doctor's office, and instead of picking up the Sports Illustrated, I'd pick up the Money Magazine just to like see, what am I interested in,
information,
what speaks to me, what like how can I learn about this stuff, so just becoming more financially literate, learn stuff, and don't be afraid to not know stuff, or to ask people who are more senior to you or have done it before, that I think that's really important, is to be able to humble yourself.
Sure. I have a really good question for Bruno. How was he as a client?
You know what? So I talked about the pressure, right? So a lot of the times it was wondering whether or not I was going to be letting him down, right?
Yes.
So, and it's one of those where I don't know if it was either he already knew some of the stuff, right? But what I was attempting to do was I was trying to answer all their questions before they had the question.
Asking
right?
it, yeah.
So, I think that we had great communication, especially with the fact, when you're talking about the time difference, and being able to be flexible to say, okay, hey, it doesn't matter what time, the day it is here. I'm always thinking about what time it is over there, right? And, but he was a great client. He wasn't needy. He wasn't someone who, he wasn't hard or he didn't seem hard to please.
I'm like, oh, there's a crack on the wall.
You've done it before.
I've done it before, and it's kind of goes to what you were talking about, the bones, right?
Right.
People get so caught up on the aesthetics of it, I mean,
the makeup,
yeah, exactly.
Does the motor work?
It's like, exactly. It's like, the Instagram models, it's like, oh, they're so beautiful. So what?
Yeah.
So what? They don't got good bones, and that's not really what they look like.
Yeah.
You gotta see what it looks, you gotta see what it looks like in real life, and then what's actually there. And that's the important piece, is we, went into this house, going, okay, does it have good bones? Because the floor in the kitchen, it was kind of tore up. I had to have the floors redone, but the bones, amazing. And then there's stuff that I've done to it now just because I could say, oh, that's outdated. That doesn't need to be there anymore. Right. And we can do this with that outdated thing, get rid of it and do something new, and which makes it like, wow, that there's these little things, that now the house has. You haven't been back there for a little while, but we'll have you guys over and you'll see like, what the hell? How'd you
Don't be forgetting the realtor now, man. That's important. He's like, man, y'all get the BAH, the big ass house, and you don't forgot about me.
No, because and that's the important thing. You go back to these questions that you had before about success and stuff. It's really building these relationships with good people.
That's
right?
good,
right?
Yeah.
Because okay, we did this one house, but me as I'm not like a big time investor, but I'd like to find distressed properties and then fix them up as I'll probably go back to him again and say, hey, let's do this, or now we need something bigger. I got 5 kids, and we only have 5 bedrooms, only 5 bedrooms.
Yeah. So you need a so what I'm hearing right here is that you need so you have 4 houses right now, right? So you need another house for the other kid, man. You got to have another one for the young one, man. Come on, let's go.
No, but I mean, as my kids get older, we'll probably need something that's a little bit bigger, and then that may mean liquidating, one of the houses, or we go into retirement mode and we may need to sell a house, and so that's what becomes really important. You talk about that 19-year-old, that just enlisted, or 18-year-old that just enlisted. Well, you're not working to, look flashy. You're working to be able to relax when you're 50, when you're 60.
Oh, that's good, man. That's really, really good, man.
Golden nuggets.
So I'm telling you, look, I'm getting goosebumps, man, because what I heard, the big thing is your children, man. A lot of people don't understand, having financial stability. You look very healthy. You look young. I already told you I'm trying to get that Botox doctor, right? So part of that is having financial stability and segueing that into your children, right? So if you've never owned property or you're not going into finances, especially as, minorities, I think we're in a safe space to say that. Yeah. I think it's imperative to show the younger generation that it can be done. And those decisions and those sacrifices that you made at an early age with those properties that you own are going to pay you generations to come, and then your kids will want to own houses as well because you've done it. Right. It's
and I can show them what I've learned,
right.
And they'll probably come up with even better stuff or, better ways to do things than I know. And I'll learn from them. But the basics I'll be able to kind of share with them, and hopefully, when, my kids are 19, 20, instead of buying, a fancy sports car, they're buying, their first condo.
Oh, yes. I love that, man.
1 or 2 bedroom condo, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but something that they think is valuable and will, help them long term.
An appreciating asset.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then I'm glad that Bruno and you guys brought that up. Y'all hear that, ladies and gentlemen? If you guys are watching this podcast, when people pass away, they always want Granny's house, right? So this is an asset that's been around for years that you can touch, and medicine is getting better and people are living longer and they're not making any more dirt. So it's imperative for you guys to get out there, talk to people who have done it. These are two gentlemen that are in the real estate space, and it's not just about real estate. It's culminating. You want it, but it does give you a head start with something that is an appreciating asset that you can have for years to come that you can pass down to your kids. Now, a quick question. Tell me about where's the property located, Bruno? Tell us a little bit about it, and then I'm gonna let him talk about the estate that he has. Where's it located?
So it's down in Carlsbad. Carlsbad with an outstanding view, right?
Okay.
So, and I mentioned it earlier. It's it's right along a hill where from the back of his house you can see a golf course. That nice view of all the other homes in Carlsbad, and then you can even see the ocean.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah.
Carlsbad is definitely a very, very hard area to get in. And you were telling me about the property. What do you love about it besides the view?
I'd have to say, I'm big on location.
That's the big three, man.
With all my properties, they're like that. One I have in North Park. It's a condo. The other one is in Serra Mesa, right up the hill from Qualcomm Stadium, or what used to be Qualcomm Stadium, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then the other one is in Moreno Valley.
Okay. So you got to
you
let me know about that North Park property so I can turn up down there, man.
That one, my wife was deployed to Iraq, and so I sent her something. I was like, "Hey, I found a place.
Mm-hmm.
I think this place is gonna blow up, but it's gonna take a few years. I want to buy it. Can you, do a power of attorney? And so she fortunately she trusts me, and I bought it while she was deployed, and it really has taken off. And
That's awesome.
That area is amazing. After 10 years of being gone in Japan and then coming back and seeing what that area is like now, I was like, oh my gosh.
Can you imagine the equity in that property now?
Well, that's why I'm here, man. I'm trying to figure out how I can get some of that coin, man. Get to the bag, man. Let's go.
But it's a slow process. That's the tough thing. It's like, because, people want things like right now. I want this car right now. I want, this lifestyle right now.
Yep.
Amazon Prime now.
Right. But it's such a slow process. It takes, decades. And you have these setbacks, I remember, was it 2007, 2008?
The market went down.
The market goes down, right? I had to liquidate my 401k, right?
Wow.
So I had a 401k from working for this corporation, right? And it was not huge, but it had a pretty good chunk. But I was upside down in the house, so I had to liquidate my whole 401k so that I could put a good amount of money on the house because it was upside down and refinance it, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was horrible at the moment. Mm-hmm. But I liquidated that 401k right before the market crashed, right? And so I would have lost it all anyway, right? But I was able to put it into the house.
Right.
Right. Now, the house went down because of the crash and everything like that, but then it went back up. And so I still kind of have it, and so.
You still got the money in the. So what I'm hearing right now is that you still have the money. Basically, the house is the piggy bank, right? It's similar to the 401k because it's an appreciating asset.
Yep.
And you get your depreciation over time, right? With the tax deductions and everything else. So it's actually like a win-win situation, right?
Yeah. So
And you talk about it all the time, Tony, when you're talking about, these things are going to happen. But just like the stock market, right? Things go up and go down. But if you were to take a few steps back and you're looking at the big picture, right? And you look at the chart, right? If you focus on the 1 week chart, right?
Yeah.
Kind of goes all over the place.
It's
like, it's aggressive how it goes up and down and, the volatility behind it. But if you go back 10 years, 20 years,
look at the trend.
Yes.
the trend, and it always goes up. you know, and that's what the thing where I feel a lot of people, they get caught up in the hype, you know, and they don't look at things from the bigger picture. And that's what hit him when he said it's not going to be something immediate. It isn't something that's going to happen overnight, you know what I mean? But it's the things that require the patience, the discipline, right, to follow through, and thinking of, you know, what are you going to do when you are in your 60s, 70s, 80s? And you know what? You know, it sounds really good in the songs when everyone's talking about YOLO, right?
Yeah.
But for you to live like that, right, it's not the promising way, because, you know, I can pass right now, right? But I still have the things to be able to pass on to my kids, even if I'm not around.
Yes, that's really good, Bruno. One thing that I like about Bruno, and one of the reasons why, just to give you guys a little context about how I know this gentleman right here, we did serve at MCRD together as drill instructors, yelling at recruits and stuff like that, and that's the reason why he has the whispers, and I still have my magnificent R&B voice. But one thing that I did like about Bruno is that he he has foresight, and he can see, you know. Anytime you have someone that is interested in building relationships with people is very, very hard to find. And, you know, having him, he got recognized in the office.
I did.
For what? Tell us what you got awarded for.
For the Remax Liberty 2020 Impact Award, which, man, it took me by storm. You know, it was one of those things where, you know, I didn't expect it. And, you know, for people who are watching who have been, you know, through the drill field, it's like the equivalent of the Dan Daly Award.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things, man, where, you know, it's a little piece of glass, right? But that's the things where, you know, why I think us military folks, you know, kind of gravitate towards each other, because the things that we do, it's not for what you get in return. You know, it's not the recognition that you get, right? So, yes, I got a little piece of glass that says Impact Award. But to me, to be able to have my coworkers, the people that I look up to, the people that I'm trying to keep up with, right, to say, like, you know what, like, if I had a vote, I'm going to vote for that guy to say that he has made an impact. That's huge for me.
It's the meaning behind that piece of glass.
The things that you can't translate, you know what I mean? Because people that get, you know, again, kind of touching up on what you said earlier, that's it, you know, the whole shiny stuff, and people looking for, and it's the, you know, things that sometimes aren't tangible, you know, the intangible assets.
And that part, I definitely want to speak on that, because, you know, everybody focuses on the fruit on the tree versus the root in the ground, right? You know, people will come, and like most real estate professionals will come pluck the fruit off the tree. That's the sale, right? It's not the sale, right? It's the fruit in the ground, which is the relationships that you build that will continue to put fruit on the tree. And, you know, I know that Bruno, speaking, you know, in this capacity, you know, that will work towards getting the right house versus the fast house. And that's a very hard thing to teach in this market, because people just want to get you a sale, and they won't negotiate like they're buying their own home. So for seeing you here and then bringing someone to the podcast that has gone from E1 all the way up to a doctor, and, you know, being a minority, multiple home owner for the children, it is an honor for you to be here with us. And we really appreciate you coming here and sharing your experience, your home buying experience with us. So I got a quick question for you guys. So Bruno, in closing, what advice would you give to a young service member that is looking to get into the real estate investment space?
And I would say that it's within our reach, right? And I think that my sole reason for getting into real estate to the point to where I'm doing sales, right, is because I learned something, and I kind of took on this knowledge where I'm like, man, I can be in the position to where I can spread that out to people, right? And it's one of those where it took me buying a house, seeing the benefits of, you know, of the benefits that came from buying that house.
Were you like, I wish I would have learned this earlier?
Yes. And you know what? It is that right there. That right there is what I was like, man, like, because mind you, it took me 14 years of being in the service before I bought a house.
Wow.
14 years of living in base housing, right? Came across, bought a property 2 years later. You know, the appreciation was something something crazy to even fathom, right? And I'm like, man, I wish I would have known this earlier. So you know what? I know it now, right? So I'm going to teach it to my kids. But I'm like, man, I'm in a community where there are so many people that are doing the same thing that I was doing. So let me go ahead and try to, spread that out and kind of teach other people about it. So to answer your question, what would I, tell, a service member is that, man, it's within your reach, right? We have these benefits that are right there that we don't know, because a lot of times goes back to tying into what you said about, the financial literacy that we just don't tap into because we don't know what you don't know, right? But nowadays with the phones, with these setups, right? Having the people that have the knowledge, right? Man, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, Ernesto, that's, when I get there, that's what I want to be. I look at Tony, I'm like, man, what you're doing, that's everything that I want to be. So this is who I choose to surround myself, with. So what I would tell the young service member is, man, grasp what's in your reach out and, sharpen your mind and surround yourself with people that are going to elevate you.
Yeah, that's important, man. That's why they tell you your network is your net worth. Yep. Whatever you follow the money, your time, and what you spend your money time on, that's who you will ultimately become. And you got to be in a room with people who are doing better than you to elevate you to where you need to be at. And Bruno, how can we reach you?
All right, I am at Facebook and Instagram at Nas Realtor. Right? Or cell phone 786-348-9470. And I promise you, I'll do something that's actually kind of rare in this industry. You'll call and I will actually pick up my phone.
That's cool, man. And Brother Ernesto, what do you have any closing remarks that you want to put out to the universe?
Well, I would just say, don't be scared, right? And I know most men, we're not good at like dealing with, our own fear. We're like, I'm not scared, right?
Yeah.
But it is scary to go, okay, I'm going to be on the hook for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, right? That's a big amount of money.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. That's freaking scary, right? But you have to lean into that discomfort and go, okay, I'll make it work no matter what. If I have to, get a side job, if we have to do whatever, I'll figure out a way to make it, don't go beyond your means. But yeah, I think fear inhibits a lot of people from doing this stuff. That's
huge. Yeah. Well, man. And then the next, I got to cheers to that one, man. That's a good one. And then, the next question that I have before we wrap things up is, what do I have to do for you to use me as your real estate professional? No, I'm joking. Hey, no, I'm joking, man. I just want to say thank you. Many blessings to you and your family on your new casa. And I really appreciate you coming on the show. And I look forward to getting you back on here. Man, I got a doctor on the show, man. A doctor and a vet and a multiple homeowner, dude. Yep. This is rare. And I got a realtor that has the same hairstyle as mine. And that's why I be rocking the hats and stuff. Let's go. Well, wrapping
Thanks
things
for
up.
having us, man. We really appreciate it, brother.
I really appreciate everything. Hey, y'all heard it first on the SITREP podcast, where we talk about lifestyle changes, finances, and VA hacks. We really appreciate you guys coming on the show and watching us. Make sure you click to follow. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all of the social media platforms to get more information, where we bring real vets doing real dope stuff. All right. Have a good day.